Hey guys, NintyFan1991 here, aka Nintendo Boy 17. So, for this year's Star Wars month, I wanted to revisit a game that, believe it or not, I did a review for with my youngest brother Zarios. Though you probably wouldn't tell, as I had that removed a long time ago. Why? I think YouTube had some policy that scared me at the time, and I regret that I don't have that video anymore. However, as time went on and game reviewing grew to only be my interest in my family's household in the end, I had since learned stuff like video capture. In addition, now that enough time has passed and has since been re-released on more modern platforms by Aspire, I figured it was time to revisit and make a better video of said game. Now Zari won't be joining us, but he did however help me out by providing me much needed footage. So this video is dedicated to him and his love for this particular Star Wars game. In the meantime, hope you enjoy this year's Star Wars special and my first in re-reviews. Prior to 1999, Star Wars video games had been visiting several genres, from arcade-style flight games to realistic flight sims, hell, even side-scrollers and strategy games. But hot off the release of the first in the prequel trilogy, The Phantom Menace, LucasArts developed a game based on one of the more beloved scenes in an otherwise not so well-received film in the Star Wars saga, simply titled Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, released on Nintendo 64 and PC in May of 1999, with a Dreamcast version in the year 2000. In 2020, Disney and Aspire Media announced that a re-release of Episode 1 Racer would, COVID-19 be damned, be released that year on the PlayStation 4 and Switch, with an Xbox One release later that year. After all this time, how does Star Wars first ride through the racetracks fare? Let's find out. Despite Star Wars being heavily connected with storytelling, there is not one to worry about, as Episode 1 Racer is pure in its genre through and through. Though based on the pod racing scene from The Phantom Menace, you get more worlds than Tatooine. Many of them from expanded material like the mining world of Mos Gaza, Ondo Preem, which is yet another snow and ice planet akin to Hoth, or Ibana, a gas planet not unlike Bespin, the heavily watered planet of Aqualaris, the Uvo 4 moon, and even a swampy jungle planet reminiscent of Central and South America called Barunda, which even has active volcanism as part of a lot of its tracks. There are 4 racing circuits, 3 of them with 10 courses each, while the 4th are 4 unlockable bonus courses, and you will be able to play as all the racers from the scene in the movie, including Anakin Skywalker and the cheating bastard Sebulba. And as we get to the racing gameplay, Episode 1 Racer plays pretty well. On the N64 even, there is a control mode that the player can use 2 controllers as an early version of dual analog controls, which I never tried out as I was a single controller user on that version, but even with that, Racer controlled pretty decently with it. However, they were improved by the release by Aspire. No longer will you need to hold down the A button for acceleration. Instead, that is now being done by the right trigger, as it is for a lot of modern racing games, allowing for easier access with your thumbs when they need to reach for the face buttons when you need to make certain turns. Plus, the re-releases look even clearer than the N64 version, even with their very 90s 3D polygons, and is even smoother with higher frame rate as well. The Switch version itself has a gimmick control scheme allowing for Joy-Con movement, which I won't do as I hate the small size of those things, why I rejected the Wii-like controls in Metroid Prime Remastered. The sound, as you'd expect, is the typical Star Wars archives from John Williams' soundtrack as well as Skywalker sound. Though one thing worthy of note is that the N64 version didn't have music playing all the time, at least not until the last lap. I didn't mind this as I feel it added a little more to the drama as you raced. What's also worthy of note is that the re-releases on Switch and Xbox One are based on the disc versions that are on PC and Sega Dreamcast rather than the N64 version, though they are pretty much all the same game. The N64 version is also missing some pre-rendered cutscenes that only barely introduce the game world you're competing on, which again, in the long run, wasn't a huge loss for the N64 versions as all the main racetracks are there, which is the most important aspect. One thing I really do like is when you have to upgrade your pod. When you shop with Watto, you don't necessarily have to worry about paying for parts full price and just need to pay attention to what's basically a trade-in value, which makes needed pod upgrades that much easier. But one thing I find a little disappointing about the game, and this goes for all versions, is that the replay value is lacking. While you can revisit old racetracks you've already raced through and can even beat your prior score, you can't go back and make more money off them as a different character. In addition, there's also only a limit to 2 players in all console versions. But overall, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer is a surprisingly great racing game. And for something in its genre with the Star Wars license at the very least, I have yet to see get topped in there. But as far as sci-fi racers go, even in the gen it was from, it could still be better.